PM orders a re-evaluation of the balance between public health and economy as Omicron fears ease. There are signals that the doors to foreign tourism may be reopened again in the coming weeks, if not then in the second quarter, as the kingdom rolls out its foreign tourism platform for 2022, including a 300 baht levy to be collected via airfares on flights bringing holidaymakers to Thailand. The levy will provide automatic medical insurance to the value of 500,000 baht and a 1 million baht payout in the event of death. There were strong indications this week that the foreign tourism industry may see some relief in the coming weeks, with a review being ordered by the Prime Minister and a commitment to re-evaluate the balance between the economy and public health as the threat from the Omicron virus strain of COVID-19 appears to be diminishing. On Friday, Thanakorn Wongwinkhongchana, the government spokesman, announced that the Prime Minister has ordered a review of public health measures and a re-evaluation of the balance between the economy and public health as the threat from the Omicron wave of COVID-19 appears to be receding. Foreign tourism-related business concerns are hoping it may mean a return to easier entry terms for foreign tourists, as numbers are set to dip after Test and Go was suspended from the 22nd of December last. The Minister of Public Health Anudin Chanvirakul and top public health officials have all made positive statements this week, but are still emphasizing the need for caution and vaccination efforts. On Saturday, Minister of Public Health Anudin Chanvirakul indicated that the government may be ready to relax the country's recently enhanced public health measures and defensive posture against the Omicron strain of COVID-19. He echoed comments by senior officials within his ministry at the beginning of the week that things have taken a turn for the better in the fight against the virus. He insisted, however, that a threat remains from the COVID and emphasized the need for everyone living in Thailand to get vaccinated as a matter of urgency. Reason to be confident, says Minister Anudin. This is a reason to be confident, for even though Omicron is highly transmissible, it is still less severe than the Delta variant, Mr. Anudin said. In light of the positive trend, the Public Health Ministry will ask the Centre for COVID-19 Situation Administration, CCSA, to ease as many containment measures as possible quickly. But if there are still threats to public health, the ministry will also propose measures for the public safety. In recent days, officials at the ministry have been going to lengths to walk back somewhat the positive comments and outlook heard last week from both the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Public Health, Dr. Kyatifam Wonggrudjit, and Department of Disease Control boss, Dr. Opus Kangkor Inpong, indicating the pandemic may become endemic this year. Pandemic drawing to a close, senior public health official says growing Omicron strain is harmless. Currently, the situation has stabilized, but we still need to maintain strict precautions, Dr. Kyatifam said. Over the last 14 days, new cases increased quickly in the first week, but caseloads have currently stabilized and are in a declining trend. Severe case numbers continue to go down. Similarly, Dr. Opus, on Friday, called for caution and cooperation from the public while also holding out hope. We expect that if everybody cooperates, it should become endemic within this year, not today or tomorrow. Travel and Go approved foreign tourists may now enter after the 15th of January deadline if they wish, in what appears to be a concession to the foreign tourism industry. A spokesperson for the Centre for COVID-19 Situation Administration, CCSA, on Friday, announced that all applicants who had prior approval to enter Thailand after the extended cut-off point of the 15th of January under the Test and Go program may now proceed to enter the kingdom. It was not clear, however, if these visitors can still avail of the more flexible entry regime on which they applied to visit Thailand. It is assumed that the more flexible entry arrangement does still apply to these travelers. This was certainly the case with visitors who entered up to Saturday 15, 2022, who were only subject to one night's quarantine to obtain a test result. The spokesperson said a further meeting will take place this Friday to clarify matters further. In an exchange with reporters, CCSA spokesperson emphasized that all future travelers are subject to quarantine, and a number of PCR COVID tests. Dr. Episames Risungson, in exchanges with reporters, repeatedly stressed that there had been no change in public health policy, meaning that an extended quarantine period remains, for now, required under the current entry regimes, with an RT-PCR test required before departure for Thailand, on arrival and between 5 to 6 days into the stay here. She said that this applied to all passengers, including both Thais and foreigners traveling to the country at this time. She also underlined the requirement for all visitors to download a tracking app, so that their status and location can be traced while in Thailand, while allowing authorities to contact them under the current emergency. Could be 30,000 more visitors with prior approval under the pause travel and go entry regime. On Friday, Dr. Episame said that by the New Year's holiday this year, 50% of already approved foreign tourists under the easy entry regime had arrived in Thailand. Some industry insiders suggest that there could be upwards of 30,000 potential foreign tourists who may avail of this concession, although this may be optimistic given that many will have already cancelled their travel arrangements due to previous announcements by public health officials. Losses being suffered by business owners in what should be the high season for the tourism industry. There has been some indication this week that officials are re-evaluating the situation, with calls from within the foreign tourism industry for the government to look again at the decision to suspend the popular test and go entry regime, with skepticism being expressed at the current conditions for attracting foreign tourists by industry leaders and business owners in what should be the peak season for the industry, and which is due to fall off precipitously with the more flexible entry criteria being closed to applicants from the 22nd of December last. Previously approved travelers can still arrive after the January deadline. The CCSA at its next meeting will consider additional measures, Dr. Episame told reporters. The spokesperson and Center for COVID-19 Situation Administration, CCSA, official explained that the government's primary goal at this moment is to avoid the public health system becoming overloaded by the Omicron virus sweeping the world. Prime Minister has ordered a review of the current public health situation and the threat from Omicron significantly. Mr. Thanakorn revealed, on Thursday, that Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha has ordered a review of the current situation regarding the Omicron outbreak. The PM has asked all government agencies to report on the situation given the less severe nature of this wave, despite its more infectious nature. It is coming amidst lower or more stable levels of infections with a drop in serious cases. He said the Prime Minister was concerned to achieve a balance between the economy and public health. In the meantime, he stressed that all business concerns linked with foreign tourism must strictly comply with public health measures designed to protect the population and their continued ability to operate. Despite the Omicron epidemic, in recent days, many European countries and the United States have lifted lockdown measures because many people have been vaccinated, even though the Omicron strain spreads the infection quickly. But the severity of symptoms is less than Delta. The Prime Minister has ordered all agencies to monitor the situation both within and without the country. We are closely studying foreign cases to make plans to restore the country under the balance of economic and public health. As for the tourism industry, Thailand has been prepared to cope with the situation in which all projects will strictly follow public health measures, said Mr. Thanakorn. President of the Thai Hotels Association has called for the new foreign tourism levy of 300 baht to be deferred. News of the concession comes as the president of the Thai Hotels Association, Ms. Marissa Sukasalnandbhakdi, has come out to call on the government to defer a 300 baht entry charge, which is due to be levied on incoming passengers from the 1st of April, according to a blueprint for the industry presented this week by officials at the Ministry of Tourism and Sports. Tourist levy transformed with a shift of emphasis from its previous purpose of providing badly needed automatic medical insurance cover for visitors. Approximately 11.3% of the charge, or 34 baht, according to earlier figures, will go towards providing automatic insurance coverage for travelers to Thailand, while the rest is earmarked for projects and schemes being developed by the Tourism Authority of Thailand to develop the country's foreign tourism infrastructure and to make the tourism industry more sustainable and environmentally friendly. Late last year, a 500 baht levy was agreed in December. It was reported by the Center for Economic Situation Administration, CESA, that it had already approved a 500 baht fee for incoming tourists. The insurance cover will be limited to 500,000 baht in medical expenses and 1 million baht in the event of the death of any traveler while in Thailand. Battlefield friends help a UK man and wife escape a medical bill of £12,000 in Thailand. Now safely home. A key requirement identified in recent years and missing from his scheme is the cost associated with evacuating an injured foreigner or traveler who needs medical treatment at home, with such costs often costing between $15,000 and $500,000 depending on the medical state of the foreign patient being transported and the distance required. Questions about the collection of the levy via airfares for passengers flying into Thailand with Thais exempt There are also other concerns about the levy, including how it will be collected. It was reported this week that the fee will be added to airfares for passengers entering Thailand, while there are talks ongoing on how the levy will be collected at land and sea entry points into the kingdom. This week, it was also made clear that the foreign tourist levy would not apply to Thai citizens or nationals. This may make the process of flight ticket sales somewhat more complicated, although ministry officials confirmed that they were in discussions with the major airlines, and that matters were ready to proceed. Chamnon Srisorat of the Tourism Council of Thailand has asked for more clarity on the imposition of the new levy, and how exactly funds raised from it will be used, while expressing approval for the measure in principle. Levy already postponed this year and has been on the drawing board since 2019. Government House spokesman Thanakorn Wongboonkhongchana pointed out this week that the levy had already been postponed until April this year due to uncertainty over the Omicron COVID-19 variant. He indicated that the government has made provision for the Omicron strain impacting the kingdom's economy and incoming foreign tourism in the first quarter of 2022. He pointed out that the proposed fee has been on the cards since 2019 with constant deferrals. Funding for tourism development and, critically, full medical coverage for visitors to the kingdom. He highlighted that the fee, which it is estimated will generate at least 1.3 billion baht to 1.8 billion baht this year based on 5 million foreign tourist arrivals, was part of a 20-year national plan to help develop the economy and improve the underlying infrastructure for tourism. Levy will help boost confidence among foreign tourists, which has been badly damaged by COVID-19. Mr. Thanakorn said the fee will act as a confidence booster for foreign tourists in Thailand, particularly as international confidence in the sector has been damaged by the COVID-19 virus. An end to tragic stories and crowdfunding appeals. Many industry experts have long urged Thailand to bring in such a fee, especially to provide automatic insurance for visitors and to avoid the negative publicity associated with frequent crowdfunding appeals from Western visitors who in the past few decades have found themselves in distress. This was emphasized by the Minister of Tourism and Sports, Mr. Phiphat, who highlighted the additional security the levy will offer foreign visitors, as well as the benefit that the increased funding will bring to developing the wider foreign tourism industry. Mr. Thanakorn at the Prime Minister's office said that in 2022 it is expected that most foreign tourists will be Western visitors from the United States or Europe. However, if the country's borders with Myanmar, Laos and Cambodia are reopened this year, he suggested, this would see the figure of 5 million jump to 15 million. Similarly, if travel with India is restored, then a further 2 million foreign tourists may be expected. He suggested that if China reopens its now sealed border because of COVID-19, then this could see a further 2 million visitors in the second half of 2022. Ministry of Tourism and Sports in talks with airlines flying into Thailand to collect the levy through fares. Mr. Phiphat confirmed that his ministry had already made arrangements with airlines to implement the new levy from March this year. He said the ministry was looking at an app for land and sea entry points, but specifically excluded foreign workers entering Thailand from the proposed fee. In its wider briefing on plans to promote Thailand as a foreign tourism destination, themed Amazing Thailand New Chapter, the ministry brought forward plans for what it termed white routes and projects to link tourism in Thailand to the BCG or biocircular green economy as part of the government's policies to make foreign tourism more sustainable and safer. BCG Economic and Social Blueprint over the next 5 years unveiled, promises more money for less. Minister Phiphat said the kingdom's promotion of Thailand through its worldwide campaign will go ahead despite the recent disruption caused by Omicron.